I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Vietnam Veterans News Podcast. News of interest about Vietnam veterans from a Vietnam veteran. Now, here's your host, Mac Payne.
This is Mac Payne here with episode 1844 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. News about the Vietnam War and the brave veterans who served there, as told to you by yours truly, a Vietnam veteran. In this episode, I come to you with astounding news. That is, the military can do some practical things. Most Vietnam veterans would agree with me, especially when we were over there in Vietnam serving in that war. Many times we would look at things the military did. It could have been Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever. And you would think of that line Pete Hogwallop said in the movie, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And that was, that don't make no sense. You'd scratch your head sometimes thinking, wonder why they did that. I would always say, well, I guess down here at my lowly level in the Army, I did not have access to all the information the decision makers were using to come up with some of these apparently dumb ideas. In this episode, I am so happy to be able to share with you a story about the successful project an Army did that not only does it work, but it saved billions of dollars. There was a story about this phenomenon on the Popular Mechanics website. The story was titled, "The Army's Big Dumb Guns Aren't Dumb Anymore, and Now They Can Shoot Down Planes." This story was written and submitted by a frequent contributor to this podcast. His name is Kyle Mizokami. He writes about military issues for Popular Mechanics. This is how he ends up his story, just to let you know it is worth listening to. Kyle says this: the successful use of a howitzer, of all things, to intercept a cruise missile shows the military can introduce new capabilities without designing entirely new weapon systems. Rather than develop an expensive new anti-cruise missile system, a program that almost certainly would cost billions of dollars, the Pentagon took literally the last weapon system you would think capable of shooting down a cruise missile and made it work. That renews my faith in the military to make practical solutions to difficult jobs. I'm going to share Kyle's entire story with you so you can know what the old 155 howitzers that supported us all in Vietnam is now doing. They can shoot down cruise missiles. Can you imagine that? I can see the section chief now on one of those guns receiving the orders from the FDC, saying, load this particular round and shoot it in this direction and knock down that cruise missile. And then after they knocked it down, all the crew on that gun would get up and high-five the section chief. And they would all say, okay, bad guys, show us what you got. Shoot another cruise missile in this direction. Let's take a look at Kyle's interesting story about how they could make a plain Jane M109A7 self-propelled howitzer be able to shoot down a cruise missile. I find that very interesting. And also, which is even better, icing on the cake, they did not have to spend billions and billions of dollars to do it. That sounds like somebody in the military is making sense. Okay. Here it is, Kyle Mizokami's story. Dateline, Popular Mechanics website. A U.S. Army howitzer successfully engaged a simulated cruise missile, shooting it down with a projectile traveling at Mach 5. The howitzer crew was assisted by a new U.S. Air Force battle management system. The test is the result of a Pentagon program designed to take existing weapon systems and modify them to take on new and important roles. Does that sound like maybe a businessman might be a commander-in-chief who says, make it work without spending trillions of dollars? Don't know, but it sounds like it. Continuing. The intercept took place at White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico, in a key test for the Air Force's Advanced Battle Management Systems, better known as ABMS. B-52 bombers launched 6 BQM-167 Skeeter aerial targets. The Skeeters served as a stand-in for a salvo of low-flying cruise missiles. Air Force sensors detected the cruise missiles and then provided targeting data to a F-16 Fighting Falcon fighter and MQ-9 Reaper drone equipped with AIM-9X Sidewinder air-to-air missiles, a ground launcher, a U.S. Navy 5-inch deck gun, and a U.S. Army M109A7 Paladin self-propelled 155mm howitzer. According to Air Force magazine, the Paladin fired a new hypersonic Mach 5 hypervelocity projectile and successfully intercepted the target. The hypervelocity projectile, or better known as HVP, is made by BAE Systems and uses technology developed for the U.S. Navy's railgun program. The result is a howitzer round that flies faster and can be used to precision target ballistic missiles. The result is a howitzer round that flies faster and can be used on precision target ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft, ships at sea, and targets on the ground. BAE says a Paladin howitzer can fire the HVP to a range of up to 43 nautical miles and fire 6 rounds per minute. I can just see that section chief going crazy firing those rounds. The test was a win for the Pentagon's Strategic Capabilities Office, better known as SCO. It was established in 2016. That coincides with when a business executive came into office as the commander-in-chief, who prides himself on getting things done for less money. The SCO's mission is to take existing military technology and modify it to assume an entirely new role. In this case, a self-propelled howitzer designed to rain high-explosive artillery shells on targets more than a dozen miles away was equipped with a new projectile that can shoot down cruise missiles. Until recently, this was known as the Department of Defense's third offset strategy, meant to ensure the U.S. maintains a lead over a rising China without bankrupting itself in the process. That makes sense. Note to Pete Hogwallop. That does make a lot of sense. Continuing. This next statement by Cal Mizokami makes me happy. Since I, at one time, was a member of the U.S. Army Field Artillery Branch. Kyle says this: the test is a big win for the U.S. Army's artillery branch. Now, in addition to providing fire support to the other branches of the Army, the Army's 155mm howitzers can shoot down cruise missiles so long as the Air Force's flying sensors can provide targeting data. The test strongly suggests the new HVP round can intercept other aerial targets, including low-flying aircraft, helicopters, and perhaps even drones. I can't wait to see that. It is all so good, I'm going to repeat his final paragraph again because it is so exciting. I quote, "The successful use of a howitzer of all things to intercept a cruise missile shows the military can introduce new capabilities without designing entirely new weapon systems. Rather than develop an expensive new anti-cruise missile system, a program that almost certainly would cost billions of dollars, The Pentagon took literally the last weapon system you would think capable of shooting down a cruise missile and made it work. To me, that is a feel-good story about what's going on in our military today. Sometimes I begin to wonder about what was going on with our beloved military. But hearing this story about what they did with an M109 self-propelled 155mm howitzer makes me think there's still hope out there. I encourage the Pentagon to keep up the good work. Matter of fact, I feel so good about what they did to develop this new round that can enable a 155mm self-propelled Army howitzer to shoot down cruise missiles. I am issuing the Pentagon an official Vietnam Veteran News Podcast salute for the good work you are doing. Keep it up, guys and gals in the Pentagon. You're doing a great job. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You are highly encouraged to go over to the podcast website, VietnamVeteranNews.com, and get a look at this M109 155 howitzer that shot down a cruise missile with this new super round they have been provided with. This is Mac Payne here, closing out episode 1844 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. Thank you so much for coming to listen to these presentations. You are cordially invited to return again soon and often to listen to more that will be coming your way on this podcast, the Vietnam Veteran News.
How about that? Ain't that a mess?